Bitcoin starting to reverse, we can see that we're getting that little bit of a rise up here. We have the W formation showing a potential bottoming pattern. But what does the data say? What do the signals say? We see that we have a price action W formation. We have the bullish signal right here and a little bit of a drawdown. But what we saw is a higher low at this point, and we are right at the deciding factor right now, that weekly VWAP. If we reject at this point, much like we did right here, this means that the bears are still in charge. The price, the market makers are trying to move, is playing that negative spread. If we can push through this, then there's going to be signs of life and likely a price action move up into this descending level of resistance all the way from back here, March 14th. We tested it again here, and are we going to test this for a fourth time? Now, we can see Ethereum very similarly is coming up to that weekly VWAP. However, we see coins like Near pushing up and slicing right through that weekly VWAP. However, we have to remember this is a much smaller market cap coin, so it's easier to move around. This could result and end up being a deviation. Why do I say that? Because if Bitcoin does reject at that weekly VWAP, this coin itself, Near, does show signs of a potential bearish reversal back down. What am I looking at? This candle right here, the shooting star. The bulls attempted this move all the way up here to 714, 715. Ultimately, bears ate this all the way back up within the same candle. This tends to signal a likely weakness in the bulls and a move back down, but all is going to be hinged on what happens to Big Daddy Bitcoin right in here. So let's go ahead and go through some of these indicators, some of these data points, some of these charts that the people around the market are sharing, because they will give us some context about what's going on. Stock Money Lizards right here shows, and this is a chart from Credible Crypto, but Stock Money Lizards is throwing it forward as well. And this is a very valid chart. When we get this rising level, sort of we can call it a bull flag if we want, but let's just call this an ascending triangle. Rising level of support, flat level of resistance, but we get this touch, retrace of deviation above, test, breakdown, and then continuation. We've gotten the majority of this move already played out. So let's pay attention to what happens here in the coming days and weeks. And remember, I shared at the beginning of this week how many different Fed speakers were going to be speaking this week, and the likelihood of choppiness coming into this week with all these different contentions and ideas and debates about what the monetary policy is going to be. Are they going to cut interest rates? Are they not? This is charging up both the bulls and the bears, and this is why we're seeing this volatility. In addition to this, we know that April can be a contentious month for trading, and we're seeing that right now. And not only all this, let's remember the macro picture that Bitcoin halving is just around the corner. So let's dive back in. I got a couple more charts to show you. I want to make sure that you stay in the know, and I hope you all make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. I'm keeping you on the right side of this trend. Now, looking right here from Matthew Hyland, we can see the Bollinger Bands. These are showing basically the likelihood of where volatility could go to based on the last 20 bars of whatever time period you're looking at, and what the 90, basically two standard deviations away from this 20 moving average that's in the middle. When they are constricting, this means volatility is tightening in, and at some point, we're getting this consolidation. At some point, you have an expansion in volatility, AKA a big move. The question is going to be right now, is it going to be a big move continuation to the upside, or is it going to be a breakdown and see a further test to the downside? Remember, when we're looking at this chart, we still have this magic number, this magic level directly below us, $57,500, $56,000, $58,000. This is at short-term holder cost basis. So even if we get that move down, we're ultimately still very bullish as it relates to every Bitcoin cycle, every bullish trend we've ever had on the macro. This level gets tested regularly. So until we break this, we're ultimately very bullish. So when we're looking at the Bollinger Bands, this is constricting into this triangle, this pennant, this whatever pattern you want to call this. But I want you to just notice the BBW, the Bollinger Band width. When this is very low, this means things are starting to consolidate. When this is very high, this means you had a very large move, an expansive move of volatility. So as this tightens down, this is indicating that a large move may be coming soon. So this doesn't give us direction. This is why we look to all the other signals. Now, looking right at this chart right here, if you're going to, there we go. Remember on the macro field, the macro picture of this market, we're doing something very similar that we did in 2017. And this was that run that was all the way down here in the 185s, all the way up here into $17,000, $18,000. Huge move. But look at this. Everybody felt like this was such an incredible bull market, but then when this happened, it changed lives. This is why what we're doing right now, it's ultimately more important than ever. I think it's likely that this bull trend that we're in right now will likely be the last type of trend like this that we'll see, with the absolutely like life-changing moves that are going to be coming, because we have the influx of all this new capital. We have the awareness. We have the stamp of approval from Larry Fink and Fidelity. And we see nation states getting involved, and we see billionaires and big money and hedge funds, and everybody's getting involved. That means everybody's going to want this. And we also know that this halving is just around the corner, which is also going to cut new supply in half. Supply, demand, less supply. You don't even need more demand to drive price up when you cut the supply. So when we're looking at what's happening with this in 2024, this was all of 2023 here into 2024, right about this point here. And we can see this price action. Are we really bearish? Are we even in a pullback? Is this even a pullback? It's a pullback for ants, I tell you. So what we want to pay attention to here is, even if we get a drawdown beyond that 57,000 short-term holder cost basis, even as low, you can see down here into the lower 50s, we would still be within this rising channel trend. And this is what we're looking forward to right here, this explosive growth up beyond 80, 100, 120. Now, looking to what may fuel that. Everybody's been a hawkeye on the ETFs, and we can see that 113 million net inflow. This is what we want to see, inflow to Bitcoin ETFs on April 3rd. So yes, we've had some choppiness, and there's been some question, people, what do I do? When you look at the macro picture, the only thing you can do is buy. So we are starting to get some inflows again. Let's not have a conniption fit because we pulled back 15%. Now, when we see this chart right here, even if you don't understand this, Bitcoin correction analysis, assessing short-term investor sentiment amid market volatility, it means that selling pressure is weakening. Let me rephrase this right here. What we're seeing based on the behavior of what's happening in this market means that selling pressure is weakening. This is the absolute thing we want to hear. Weak hands have sold off, and the market is waiting to see what happens next. Well, we know on the bigger picture what's going to happen next, so let's stay vigilant and let's stay on the right side of this trend. Now, when we look to this chart right here, this is the liquidation levels. Yes, we talk about this windshield wiper method, the windshield wiper method from Joshua Jake, and this basically moving up and down, clearing out liquidity, taking advantage of everybody that's trading emotionally and getting over leveraged in this market. Yes, this has started to move up. Could it move back down, clear out this zone? Absolutely could. However, what I'm seeing here is that we still have this huge negative delta, and at some point, I don't really have confidence in this starting to really start to move back down until this goes a bit higher, because this negative delta is suggesting that the price, that there's the wrong environment for market makers to take advantage to the downside. Now, we want to get some people going leveraged long and then flush them out to the downside, a small retrace, and then a continuation of the upside. So essentially what we're at right now, I don't want to call it net neutral, but we're kind of at an intermediary zone. Everybody, the bulls and the bears, and everybody, the spectators, the people on the sideline, they're kind of waiting to see who moves first, and there will likely be some fierce movements in both directions. What do I mean by that? It will likely be some sort of move up very quickly. It's going to be exciting. It's going to flush people out to the downside and then have some sort of continuation, or vice versa. Continuation down, spring somewhere down in this zone, move up, shake those people out, move back down, test this, and continue. Something to that effect. Either way, I think we're going to see price action move in both directions, really taking advantage of everybody that they can before this halving. It's crunch time right now. What are you doing to make sure that you are stacked to the brim? And I just want to re-encourage each and every one of you. If you're watching right now, if you believe in crypto, if you like crypto content, hit that like button. Join us here in the BitLab family. We have one of the most wonderful communities in crypto. It's all empowerment, tools, resources, unbiased looks at the market, and I hope you can get behind that. Now, when we're looking at these other projects, for instance, Avalanche, this is still not only under the weekly VWAP, but we're also under the trend signal line. So while the market is starting to show some signs of life, it's starting to show those potential signs of reversal. Remember, we have done nothing until Bitcoin has gotten back above this weekly VWAP, had some sort of small retrace, and the bulls are tested about what level they're going to defend, and then then we can look to the continuation to the upside. But ultimately, what I'm really watching right now is, will we slice through this 67.4 zone? And then the next level we're looking at is the $68,000 mark right here. Let me do option J. If you're on PC, it's Alt J. This is where the trend signal line is right here, right at 68,000. Once we overtake this zone, we're going to be looking to 70,700. This is the descending level of resistance on this pattern right here. Of course, the next level above that will be basically taking out the previous all-time high right at about $74,000. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sometimes we got to be patient. So let's look at this market and say, okay, we had a breakdown here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We never got that 5. The 5 still could be in store. It's all hinging on what happens right here, what the appetite of the bulls are, and how well the bears defend a level, the selling pressure that comes in here. And remember, we just talked about this. The selling pressure is weakening. So, and we are coming into the most bullish portion of the Bitcoin market cycle. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's be patient. The market is going to rip when it starts to rip. So let's let the market do what it's going to do. Last one we'll look at here. We'll look at two more. Solana, look at this. We have higher lows through this region right in here. We got down below, look at this, all the way down to 175, came back up, higher low. Now we're testing this level right here. In fact, if we go to a little bit smaller time frame, we can see we got a little bit of an inverted, very Quasimodo style inverted head and shoulders with, obviously the target would be up here. We measured this yesterday on the channel. If you're watching, the target would be up here. Look at this, right at this rising level of resistance, which would be up here in the, let me see, right in the 207 to 208. Let's actually move this down a little bit. Yeah. 207 target, which would be wonderful. But we cannot ignore this rising level of support that has now been flipped to resistance, which kind of cuts that in half, about 198. So these are the two levels I'm watching on Solana. If Bitcoin slices through that weekly VWAP, and if Solana is able to also break through this zone right here, which is essentially the $190 range, $190 level, that we need to break that level. If we lose this level, we want to ultimately hold above 180. If we lose that, then we're likely seeing a failed attempt to the upside here and testing further down into this range. MATIC also, let's go ahead and delete this line right here. Look at how far we are from the weekly VWAP here. This is at 92 cents. I guess it's not that far. We're 91 cents. We're on the 2 hour. Okay. But we do have this W formation. The difference here, other than MATIC, is we have essentially lower lows coming through here. So we have a little bit more work to do to convince the bulls here to slice it through. But if that weekly VWAP on Bitcoin does get broken with volume and strength, and any sort of retrace is defended by the bulls, then I think the rest of the market's going to start ripping to the upside as well. Cardano, similarly, lower lows here. We're pushing up. Look, we can't even take out this high. Well, ultimately, we need to take out 59.85 cents, which also marks the range here that we already had drawn on this chart, which goes from 60 cents to 61 cents. So ultimately, not only do we need to take out this zone right here, but I'd like this to successfully clear, not just with a wick into here and then a rejection, successfully break through this and clear this box, because this also marks where these previous lows were. Previous low, right? Or at least a bounce at this level. All the way back over here, rejection, bounce. This is a known level. A lot of price action history within this zone. So let's not get fooled just because we have one 15-minute candle slice into the zone. Let's be patient. Let's let the market come to it. Let's let the market come to us. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Sorry I couldn't be live today. Make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. You hit that like button. Show some love. Drop a comment down below. Do you think the reversal's in store right now and we're about to start pushing higher? Or do you think this is a fake out and we're going to continue lower? I'm curious to see what your answers are going to be. Comment down below, and I will see you guys in the BitLab Discord, and I'll see you in tomorrow's stream. I love you. Adios, muchachos.